Now, this is an interesting story. A Turkish student was detained by ICE, visa revoked for praising Hamas terrorists. Democrats cry free speech. The Trump administration says this is a matter of national security. Who is right here? Well, before we get to that, let's hear more details on the student.
So Ozturk reportedly was not a leader of the pro-Palestinian movement at Tufts, according to some local reporting, Jackie, but she was one of 4 co-authors of an opinion essay published last March in the Tufts student newspaper. It criticized university leaders for their response to demands that Tufts acknowledge the Palestinian genocide, also telling that the president there needed to apologize for her comments about Israel. This girl's lost her visa now because DHS officials say supporting terrorists who kill Americans is grounds to get your visa pulled.
Okay, so that's what the official reporting was, but let's dive deeper. Here's what the Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary had to say in a post on X. Quote, an investigation revealed that Ozturk had been engaged in activities in support of Hamas, a foreign terrorist organization that relishes the killing of Americans. Now, let's just be honest here. We can replace Americans with Jews or Israelis because that's really what's going on here. President Trump made a promise to Israel that he would get rid of anything that even suggested anti-Semitism. And that's what he's doing. Now, let's continue. She further stated that a visa is a privilege, not a right, and that glorifying and supporting terrorists who kill Americans is grounds for visa issuance to be terminated. Now, there is some truth to that, and I understand the logic. If you're requesting a student visa because you want to get an education in America, it might be a smart idea to not be engaged in anything that has to do with protest, activism, social justice issues that clearly are criticizing America's foreign policy or domestic policy. Now, is that censorship? No, I just think it's playing the game and being smart. I mean, again, you're here on a student visa. It just is what it is. However, the attorney of this individual told CNN that no charges have been filed against her. She's currently being held at an immigration and customs enforcement facility in Louisiana, along with, and this is interesting, Columbia University student Mr. Khalil, who is facing a similar case. Now, before we get to what the Trump administration has to say about all this, let's hear from our favorite network, MSDNC.
And let's talk about students specifically for a minute, because it's a $43 billion business for the United States for these students to come here and pay full freight to go to our schools and university.
Say that again.
It's $43 billion that foreign students bring to our country, to universities. And that's over 370,000 jobs in this country that are supported by foreign nationals getting an education in our country. That's a little bit over 1 million students. This is turning them away from our market, which is not a good sense. But in a larger case, it's just causing fear and panic among the immigrant community. So those bad actors that are out there are sort of getting your game plan when you're sort of getting low-level fruit, or people who aren't even involved in these activities that you say they aren't major threats. And it's costing the American people millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, so the left's argument currently right now as it stands is that, number one, this is a free speech issue because the people that have been detained, their visas have been revoked. These are not the individuals that participated in the violent protests that we saw occur on UCLA, USC, Columbia, across the nation. And the Trump administration will have to make that case. Are these those individuals, or are these just individuals who have supported Hamas in some way, shape, or form, whether that was through a social media post or an actual article? They'll also have to make that case as well. Now, speaking of the Trump administration, here's how they see things.
We revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We revoked it, and here's why. And I'll say it again. I said it everywhere. Let me be abundantly clear, okay? If you go apply for a visa right now, anywhere in the world, let me just send this message out. If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot.
Now, let's actually understand the bigger story here of today, and that is Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, revoking 300 foreign student visas. Now, of course, the left is going to cry free speech. The right is going to say it's all about national security. But I want to show you what the media outlets are saying. Now, this is Ground News. You guys can check this out for yourself by going to ground.news/Devori. I love what they do here because they show you both sides of the debate. Now, if I actually scroll down here and show you what the left-leaning articles are saying, I think this is the best one right here from Axios. Trump's pro-Hamas purge could block foreign students from colleges. So they're focused on the scare tactic again, the worst case scenario, the extreme example here, right? That's what they want to target. And that's obviously what the left loves to do. And then here's an article that leans to the right from the New York Post. Marco Rubio says he has revoked at least 300 student visas from campus agitators, quote, looking every day for these lunatics. And so you already see the difference in the reporting. The left is focusing on fear and the right's just focusing on exactly what is happening, right? And the reason why I want to point this out is because this is why you see people vandalizing Teslas. Because the media, mainstream media, is so focused on scaring the crap out of that base that they feel they have no other choice but to react in a violent way. This is why you have to do your own research. And one of my favorite things about Ground News is they have something called Blind Spot. This is where they show you stories that are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. And this is why I love Ground News, and you will too. So subscribe through my link at ground.news/Devori or download the mobile app and use offer code Devori for 40% off the Vantage plan, which will give you unlimited access to everything that we just covered in this video.
I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. Why would any country in the world allow people to come and disrupt? Now, we gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses. And if we've given you a visa and then you decide to do that, we're going to take it away. I encourage every country to do that, by the way, because I think it's crazy to invite students into your country that are coming onto your campus and destabilizing it. We're just not going to have it. So we'll revoke your visa, and once your visa is revoked, you're illegally in the country and you have to leave. Every country in the world has a right to decide who comes in as a visitor and who doesn't. If you invite me into your home because you say, I want to come to your house for dinner, and I go to your house and I start putting mud on your couch and spray painting your kitchen, I bet you're going to kick me out. Well, we're going to do the same thing if you come into the United States as a visitor and create a ruckus for us. We don't want it. We don't want it in our country. Go back and do it in your country. But you're not going to do it in our country.
Now, it's no surprise that students and activists staged a protest at the school demanding the release. One of the individuals actually told CBS News, quote, the university campus should absolutely be a place for the free and open exchange of ideas. And the fact that someone can just be disappeared into the abyss for voicing an idea is absolutely horrifying. Watch this.
From a comrade who could not take the risk of being here today because they are being targeted for being an immigrant. And they wanted me to share with you all just a small sense of what immigrant communities in Somerville and around the country are experiencing every single day.
So obviously there's a legal debate that will take place with this. We know that will happen. Probably will go to the Supreme Court like all the other ones. But there's also a political debate here. And that's what I'm going to just focus my attention on. Politically, Democrats will lose on this. All right. Almost 70% of Americans support mass deportation and definitely support people who have been protesting in support of Hamas and these terrorist groups. So for Americans, they just want results. President Trump promised he'd do this. Now he's doing it. So they're not really interested in the details. They're not listening to Democrats cry about free speech. They definitely recognize the words national security. And that is the political reality. So I don't believe Democrats should die on this hill. Now, here's what Bernie Sanders had to say. Trump's move towards being an authoritarian continues. A Turkish student at Tufts University was snatched by a group of mass DHS agents. Why? She wrote an op-ed critical of Israel's war against the Palestinian people. Together, we must stop Trump's political persecution of descendants. And then someone in the comment asked a very good question that should be a part of this debate. Why would any country allow a non-citizen to show up and attend a university and then print an editorial critical of their host country's foreign policy? No other country on earth would accept such a thing. And that is a fact. That is absolutely a fact. And what I find interesting, and this is obviously part of whataboutism, but where were you, Bernie Sanders, when Joe Biden put pro-life Americans in prison? And those were American citizens. Now, there's another clip here I'm going to show you that makes you think that, you know what, yes, the legal battle will get heated, but what's also going to get heated are these protests. And we've already seen from the left how radical that they can get where they turn to violence. Take a look at this.
Elizabeth Warren is not going to save you! The Democratic Party is not going to save you! They did not save Rumesa! She is detained! They did not save hundreds of thousands of my people murdered by U.S. bombs! This whole damn system has to go!
Now, it doesn't take a rocket science to understand what she means when she says this whole system has to go. There's only really one conclusion there, that it happens through force, violence, right? And so obviously Democrats won't condemn that type of speech because they believe it's justified, right? I mean, think about how long it took them to come out and finally condemn the violence against Tesla. And not all of them still has. Some of them are still, dragging their feet on that. So the bottom line here to the story, and I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. One side believes free speech is being violated by the Trump administration, that they are disappearing people in the middle of the night because they have supported terrorist groups like Hamas. Obviously, on the right, we claim this is a national security issue. We should not allow people who are coming here on student visas to participate in these protests that have been turning violent and have been screaming death to America. So where do you guys stand on this issue? Do you support what Trump is doing by deporting these individuals who are here on a student visa, regardless if they're violent or nonviolent? If they have voiced their support for Hamas, do you believe those individuals should be deported? Let me know what your answer is in the comment section below. Now, this next video that you're going to want to check out, I know you support, which is Jasmine Crockett getting humiliated by the governor of Texas. After she insulted him, then she tried to walk back her comments and make an excuse about it. We also caught her in a lie on that, and we'll show you the receipts. But if you missed out on all that drama and more stories from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.